garden's coming along great. It's time to plant some tomatoes, and I know everybody loves tomatoes and wants their tomatoes to be as successful as possible. So getting a good start on planting the tomatoes really makes a difference in how they produce and your harvest at the end of the year. So I like to plant mine in weed barrier or black plastic. Generates a lot of heat, gets the soil a lot warmer. So I've actually had my black plastic, my weed barrier out for about 10 days to generate some nice heat in the soil, so the tomatoes will get established a lot faster and take off a lot quicker. And this is a pretty good sized tomato we're going to be planting. So this is in almost a 1 gallon container, good sized plant, and so we've got to make a big enough hole to make this work. I like to amend the soil with a little bit of coconut coir or peat moss, just to add a little bit of water holding capacity to the soil. So we're going to replace a lot of this soil with the soil that's in the container. But then here I've got a little bit of coconut coir that I hydrated up last night. So the coconut coir comes dehydrated in a brick, and you add water to it and absorbs that moisture up, and then just holds moisture like crazy. And it's one of the best soil amendments there is because of how much water it will retain. But it's a little bit more fibrous, a little bit more coarse than peat moss, so it's going to last a little bit longer. It's going to stick around longer. So I'm going to work some of this into the soil. The tomatoes love the coconut coir and they love peat moss, so it's a great soil amendment to help the tomatoes really get started and take off. So we're going to work that into the soil there. Bring a little bit more out of that amended soil so we have room for the tomato to grow. Usually in the bottom of the hole I'll put a little bit of fertilizer, and I've been using the new Natural Guard tomato and vegetable food. This time I thought I'd try the organic all-purpose food. It's a little bit more balanced, so it's a 4-4-4. It's a balanced fertilizer. It has all the mycorrhiza, microbes, beneficial organisms. It's got archaea in here to break the nutrient down really quickly so the plants can get it. So this is one of the most complete organic fertilizers that we've ever used, because it has all those ingredients in there, a wide variety of different nutrition sources, and it's great for the plants. A lot of my other plants have been just doing amazingly well with it. I'll take this fertilizer, and it's a Unipel granule, so it's not like a mix of a lot of different materials. They've actually broken it down to a form where it all looks the same. We'll just kind of sprinkle that into the bottom of the hole, work it into the soil, put a little bit of more soil on top of it, work that in, and then our tomatoes should fit right in there just right. So when you're taking them out of the pots, I like to just squeeze the containers just slightly. We don't want to like damage the root system, but we want to loosen it up so it'll fit, so it'll pull right out of that pot nice and easy. So we want to be gentle bringing it out. And see, look at the root system, nice big heavy root system in there. So the tomato's going to really take off from this point because of all those roots on there. So let's see how we did digging the hole. It's a little bit shallow, so let's take a little bit more of that soil out. Got to make a little bit more space for our tomato. That looks a lot better. Then we'll use the soil that we pulled out of the hole to backfill with it, so we'll get all that nice fertilizer and soil amendment that we kind of pulled out of the hole since it was a little too shallow. Let's pull that soil in around it, and then I like to kind of press that soil down in, firm it up just a little bit. There we go. And a little bit more of our coconut coir soil amendment on the surface of the soil, just around the tomato, to help the soil retain the moisture a little bit better. We'll just put that in around the tomato, then it won't dry out so quickly. What's going to happen is the coconut coir is going to dry out on the surface, but it's going to help the soil retain the moisture underneath and keep the tomato nice and moist without being too soggy and wet. Then after I get them transplanted, two very important ingredients, Kanga Roots, which is a root drench, which will help the plant establish new root system, get established quicker, and really helps it so it doesn't have as much transplant shock. So I'll water the tomato with the Kanga Roots the first 2 or 3 waterings after transplant, and I'm going to use it on it right now as well too. But even more important is the complete disease control from Monterey. This is a new fungicide, but it's actually a bactericide as well too, and it will kill viruses. It's all natural. It's a beneficial bacteria, so it's actually a really good bacteria for the soil, for the plants. It eats up diseases, and the great thing about this is it works on verticillium and fusarium that hide in your soil for years and years and years, and will gradually kill your plants as they pick up that disease through the soil. So tomatoes, potatoes, squashes, and melons especially are very susceptible to verticillium, and this is one of the disease controls that we can actually put into the soil when we're planting the plant. It will fight off those diseases so that your plants don't get those diseases. We used it last year on our tomatoes, and it was amazing. Kept them from picking up all kinds of diseases through the soil, but just makes them stronger in the long run as well too. So mix that up in water and water those plants with it. And it's okay if you get it on the leaves as well too, because it'll help fight diseases on the plant as well. And we'll just water that plant a couple times, let that soil just absorb that moisture in there and pull it all the way down. Then when we're all done, depending on how big the tomato is, we can actually put a Aquadome on top of it to help protect it. So if we get some cold weather or to generate some extra heat, we can just like put that Aquadome over the top, generate some faster growth out of the tomato. Or if it's big enough, and this one's almost big enough, we can put our handy cages on them. And I love the handy cages because they come in pairs. And with the handy cages, you can bring it in around a much larger tomato and get that cage just in the right spot to train that tomato as it grows much taller. This is a tall variety, so it's going to get big at some point, and we'll put our tomato cages on there and enjoy a wonderful harvest. After planting our tomato properly with the right ingredients, we should be very successful and have a great harvest this fall.